Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. The ogres have arrived, and they have arrived in numbers as they face off against the Changer of Ways, Tzeentch, in this domination mode battle between Rojo on the Ogre Kingdoms and Samurai Warrior will be on Tzeentch himself. So for the ogres, it is definitely going to be a very ogre heavy army, as we're going to be having ogre bulls, the iron fist. So these guys are going to be having a bit of shields over the regular ogre bulls, and there's going to be 4 of those regular ones in the front ranks. We do have those lead belchers who are going to be able to fire at range. They have a nice 200 range and 96 armor piercing missile strength, and they are going to be backed up by some man eaters, or those ogres with pistols. They're going to be able to kind of fire and kind of help deter that ranged and flying units that Tzeentch can often bring. And then we have some nobblers on the flanks, going to be looking to assist that main army. Now, as for Tzeentch, what have they brought to counteract all of those ogres? They are going to be bringing quite a bit of range themselves. So in the front ranks, we have 3 units of blue horrors of Tzeentch, and they'll be backed up by pink horrors of Tzeentch, 3 of those, and 1 unit of the exalted pink horrors of Tzeentch. So they're going to be able to do a little bit extra missile strength over the regular variants. You can kind of see the change in the stats there. For the Lord, it is going to be an exalted Lord of Change, going to be rolling in with that lore of metal, as he is going to be having the portal glyph, which gives some summons of those Chaos Furies. We have Searing Doom, Plague of Rust, reducing that armor, and then we have Final Transmutation as well. And with Tzeentch, they have an abundance of that Winds of Magic, so all 3 of these spells is going to be rather useful. They're definitely going to be having the resources to be using it. Greater Arcane Conduit on them, so that gives that 60% power recharge, and also plus 10% to that spell mastery, and that is a increase over the regular Arcane Conduit, which is only a 40% power recharge. Other than that, he does cause terror as well, which is always nice to have against the low leadership of the ogres, as you're going to be seeing these guys as they're buffed up right now. They have a little bit more, but overall, they do struggle a little bit in that department. But let's get things underway, as both armies are going to be pushing on forward. The ogres, looks like they're just going to be charging that front ranks as quickly as they can. Tzeentch is going to have to put up quite a wall of firepower, and luckily for them, the ogres aren't overall that heavily armored. So all of these pink horrors, the blue horrors, they'll be able to do quite a bit of good damage to those ogres in that front. We are going to be getting some Chaos Furies spawned in right off the bat with those enemy reinforcements. Now that is going to be pretty much just to try and shut down those lead belchers. Now, lead belchers themselves, they don't really have all too much armor and HP, only 5,000 HP, a lot less than those man eaters, and we are going to be getting another summon up on the flank. So I think they're going to be beelining it straight for these ranged units, trying to shut them down as quickly as they can. And especially with that shield, they are going to be able to really kind of do a nice bit of damage early on, not taking a whole lot off the initial charge, as they do charge right into those lead belchers, trying to whittle them down very, very quickly. We do have plenty of Nobblars, and these man eaters as well are right up close and personal, so they should be able to get some nice decent shots off. But off onto the front rank, the ogres are being held off by those blue horrors, but the blue horrors are quickly withering under that pressure. But in the meantime, all of these pink horrors have plenty of time to get some very nice shots off, and it looks like we are going to be getting a Final Transmutation overcasted already, going to be hitting that front lines of the ogres, doing a ton of damage, breaking quite a few units off right, as a few of them are going to be able to kind of sneak around the side, get into these pink horrors, as they're going to be putting some nice decent damage down onto the front line. Blue horrors are starting to disintegrate across that front line, and if you kind of swing back, those lead belchers unfortunately do rout under the pressure from just 2 units of those Chaos Furies, so already doing quite a bit of good work already, shutting them down. But the blue horror buffer that these pink horrors did have is now gone, and they're going to be able to start pushing right into those units. But we do have some more Furies and some more blue horrors coming in from those reinforcements, going to be able to get some good shots on it. But the Exalted Lord of Change is going to be able to breathe a little bit of relief, as the ranged units is going to be kind of dealt with. Some Nobblars, though, coming in for the ogres on the flanks, as they're going to be charging right on in, using their bonus versus infantry to charge forth into these pink horrors, going to be able to do some good work there, trying to just shut down all of the range that Tzeentch does end up having, and having them unbreakable, they're going to be very hard to really kind of push back. But at the time, at least in terms of the front line, the Ogres have been able to kind of push Tzeentch back, but they've been able to, they've been receiving quite a bit of damage from all of these horrors just kind of firing in from all angles. Man-Eaters getting whatever shots they can, but the Nobblars are going to really start to do some very good work, as they're just going to be peeling off these pink horrors very, very quickly. Some volleys, though, are going to be kind of arcing their way forward. From 2 units have been able to get freed up, and they do quite a bit of damage off of those shots with the low armor, only 15 on those Nobblars, so not going to be able to withstand that sustained fire for too long. But we do have more of them up on the flank, and they're going to be able to take point 3 no problem whatsoever, charging straight forth into these blue horrors. No support is in sight for these guys, so that point is going to be lost, and we do have some Ogre Bulls have end up returned from their initial route, but that does mean they're going to be taking point 1. So the Ogres are going to be standing from a very strong initial position, taking points 1, 2, and 3 early on in this fight. But the center ranks is starting to turn its way towards in favor of Tzeentch, as all these pink horrors and blue horrors are really able to push back that initial charge of the Ogres, and are now going to be turning their attention to these Man-Eaters with their pistols, doing a lot of damage there. Those Gorgers, unfortunately, unable to really break through, but the Changer of Ways is going to be helping a little bit on the flank, but I don't know if that's even going to be enough to beat these beasts that are the Gorgers, as they are just peeling off these blue horrors, who are then going to be turning their attention to those Furies, and eventually to that Exalted Lord of Change, and his terror is not going to be able to help all too long. Looks like the Man-Eaters have ended up routing, as they are going to be kind of pushing back. Gorgers trying to push forward, but Tzeentch is just going to start flooding in with their reinforcements. We have some more pink horrors and some chaos furies going to be trying to just shut down all of the ogre units that they can. Blue horrors going to be moving in, trying to take advantage of the Gorgers' attention on the Exalted Lord of Change, get some shots in there. Going to be getting another unit of chaos furies. That is the second one by the looks of things, and more Gorgers going to be descending down upon the plane, going to be pushing forward again, trying once more to deal with all of these pink horrors, as just that sustained fire has been able to do so much damage. And even the Saber Tusk pack is going to be getting held up by these blue or these Chaos Furies, and that's just going to allow again for those pink horrors to just get a bunch of damage in, and this entire core is being pushed back. Only the Gorgers remain to really do any damage. Lead Belchers have returned, but they're just so very low in terms of HP. They need to get whatever shots they can off, or in exchange just teleport back for a little bit of return on investment. Gorgers unfortunately being overwhelmed just by superior numbers. Furies, pink horrors, or blue horrors, and everything just kind of firing in, have been able to bring down this unit, and they are going to be very shortly lived. And with that, Tzeentch is going to start pushing forward and taking point 3, getting a little advantage on that points. But of course, when they do drop 2,000 down, they are going to be getting a buff to that supplies, and with their current presence on the field, they will be benefiting very greatly from that. They have plenty of range still that is going to be left unopposed, and the Ogres really need to kind of mount a quick offensive to get into these ranged units. But Forsaken have also taken to the field, as they're going to be kind of pushing forward, acting as a nice little bit of an anchor, much better than any of the blue horrors can provide. Going to be holding it back. The Saber Tusk pack going to be keeping them from those pink horrors, and they are going to be rampaging them once again, and going to be allowing them to fall very, very quickly, though the Gorgers are going to be trying their last gasp to try and deal some good damage in. There is quite a few units left of the Ogres here in the center ranks, but we are going to be getting a cast of Searing Doom. Does look like it might be an overcasted one with the area of effect that's going to be going down, and that's going to be falling down upon these Nobblars. Now that actually might be I believe that is the Searing Doom. The Laura Metal might be a little bit special for Tzeentch here, as it looks like we have a final transmutation, though, going to be hitting these Ogre Bulls. Going to be an overcasted one that is going to be dealing some insane damage per second. Going to be hitting 3 units, as they're just going to be just melting these guys under the pressure, and that leadership is going to be hitting that critical point with that charge in from the Exalted Lord of Change. Adding that terror into the field is going to cause all of these guys to break. And now even point 2 is looking like a very strong point for Tzeentch, as the ogres are going to be trying to mount a little offensive here. Gnoblar Trapper is going to be off in the forest, that they're going to need a little bit more assistance here to deal with those two pink horrors, or those two blue horrors, as the rest of Tzeentch making a very strong push into point 2. They should be taking that no problem whatsoever, but they still have quite a few points. They are down 3,000 going into this late stage of the battle, and even the single point here does need to be brought attention to from the changer of ways, as the ogres going to be holding things back. Forsaken going to be melting against these gorgers and these Gnoblar Trappers. Not really much hope for them on that front, as Tzeentch is really just going to be kind of pushing the ogres back here, just kind of giving them some breathing room, allowing them some access to kind of move between point 1 and point 3 a little bit more at their leisure, just kind of keeping the ogres at as much distance as they can. But we are going to be getting some ogre bulls kind of flooding in, but even this one unit, which is almost at full health, is getting rather close to routing themselves, and the ogres, just kind of trying to regroup what they can, are now going to be turning their attention straight towards those Forsaken, charging in, and even these Exalted Pink Horse have used up all of their ammunition and are now going to be committed to that melee grind. We're going to be getting some more shots raining down on to these gorgers. A very nice hit. Going to be sundering that armor as well, minus 30 on those, so that is going to be putting it down to 0. But this point here is starting to look like it is in a little bit of danger, and the Screamers of Tzeentch, these guys have armor piercing and bonus versus large. Particularly that bonus versus large makes them very strong against gorgers. They will trade very, very well into them, especially with that barrier, getting the charge bonus when the gorgers are not able to do so. And even more Screamers are going to be committing to this fight, so these gorgers are not going to be able to hold back those units at all. But they do have some support coming in. We have some more gorgers and some ogre bulls going to be trying to hold this point back at all costs, because they need to hold something against Tzeentch. But now Tzeentch definitely has the breathing room to really kind of just focus down point 1. These two blue horrors will have no problem really dealing with those Gnoblars or the Gnoblar Trappers, and the Forsaken going to be holding down that center point, as the rest of the unit just kind of pushing back into the ogre spawn, keeping them as far from point 2 as they can, and are now going to be turning their attention solely to point 1, as they are going to be needing that, as the Ogre Kingdoms are reaching that 4k point, as the Screamers doing really, really well against these Gorgers. But the Gorgers, they are here in numbers, and they are going to be holding things back, but they have lost much of their infantry support. The Trappers and some regular Gnoblars have come to try and aid them, but I don't think these Gorgers have it in them to really hold back all of these Screamers. These Screamers are just so very strong against them, one of the few units who are just exceptional at dealing with the Gorgers themselves. And of course, with that Exalted Lord of Change in the mix, that is going to make it all the harder for those guys to kind of deal with things. Harpies going to be the Chaos Furies are going to be charging right into the rear of those Gnoblar Trappers, going to be breaking them before they can provide those Gorgers too much assistance, and that is kind of denying those Gorgers as much assistance as they can, just kind of trying to peel off whatever the ogres throw at them. But the ogres are slowly moving that way towards that victory cap. If they are able to hold point 1, they should have their own victory. But there's just so many units of Tzeentch here that benefit to their supplies. The base benefit is 16. But when they're down by that much, you are going to be seeing a nice little buff. They're going to be seeing upwards of over 20 supplies per tick. So that is going to be very much in their benefit, especially when they already outnumber the ogres on the battlefield. So they very much have that battlefield control. But over onto point 3, away from really the heavy fighting, these Gorgers are going to be diving in to these blue horrors, and they're going to now start to take point 3. And Tzeentch is going to respond by sending in some pink horrors themselves, but they need to respond to this threat over on point 3. The Gorgers are going to be able to make mincemeat of those blue horrors, and they are the only thing that's really stopping them from getting onto those pink horrors, as well as now point 3 is in danger, but point 1 is solidly in command of Tzeentch, and with that, they are going to be starting to really get back those lost points, going to be pushing in, and the ogres need points, and at this point, they might even need a second one, considering how much time it has taken for them to take point 3 themselves. Some more Trappers are going to be starting to move in, and those blue horrors are withering under that pressure. They should should not be very long for this world completely disintegrating, and that point is falling towards the ogres as they need that, but the balance is starting to shift back towards Tzeentch as they're getting closer and closer to evening out the score. Pink hordes do push into the point completely, trying to slow down that capture point, but the ogres are going to be able to take that point by the looks of things, and they do. So they're going to be starting to get some more points back themselves as they start ticking closer and closer towards victory. The Gorgers are going to be very hard to deal with. There is plenty of units here for Tzeentch, but they are just going to have to really just kind of put that pressure down, try and melt these units as quickly as they can. These Gnoblars shouldn't pose too much of an issue, should be able to break them fairly quickly, and we do have those Screamers charging in to the Gorgers themselves, trying to kind of clean things up as the clock is ticking for both sides. More Gorgers, though, going to be charging in as the Ogres are just throwing everything they can into point 3 to just try and hold it against just the swarm that is Tzeentch at this point. Tzeentch is just going to be having so many units. They have so many flyers. They have all of some more blue horrors are coming in. We have Forsaken as well, going to be charging up the field, trying to get units into this point. One unit of Gorgers now is not going to be enough to hold this as the balance is shifting towards Tzeentch on this final point. As the clock, though, is getting so very, very close, we do have now some Saber-Tusk packs and some more Gnoblars all charging into this point, just throwing bodies into this final point, but Tzeentch is able to cap point 3, and now the Ogres have nothing left. They are going to need 2 points at this point if they're going to be able to take it, and it does not look like that is going to be the case. Tzeentch is quickly catching up in that points and are going to be surpassing the Ogre point total in due time as they tried to desperately hold point 3, but at this point I just don't think there's any way back. There's just not enough Ogres left on the field. These Chaos Furies are going to be taking down these Ogres, and Tzeentch is going to be pulling ahead in that point total as they now hold all 3 points, and that is going to be pretty much all she wrote as Tzeentch is going to be surging to victory as the Ogres just barely unable to hold on to their lead early on. Spawned so many units off onto points 1 and 2, and point 3 has fallen to the Changer of Ways. Tzeentch shall be victorious this day. A very well-fought fight, very, very close. Ogres almost were able to hold back just long enough, but unfortunately Tzeentch, with that benefit in that comeback, are able to just swarm whatever the Ogres have left. So let's take a look at the after battle report here and just kind of take a look at just how things fared on both sides. There's plenty of units to go through. Initially, Tzeentch did very well at dealing with the range units, so the Man-Eaters and the Lead-Belchers got quickly taken out, and with them gone, really the Exalted Lord of Change had nothing to really fear. The Screamers as well were able to kind of just roam freely, and those Flyers just did remarkable work in this fight. But otherwise, the Ogre Bulls, one of them did pretty decently. Otherwise, just kind of fallen a little flat on that end. Now, as for the reinforcements, the Lord would have been a Slaughtermaster of Beast, but we did not see him on the field at all. Generally pretty wary of Tzeentch's sniping power, but seeing that there wasn't really anything to really snipe out a Lord, I definitely could have been bringing in that Slaughtermaster of Beast here shortly after the start of the match to get that spell casting in, because that probably really would have helped the Ogres. They did not have any spell casting, but the Gorgers, 2,000 on 1, 1649, 1,000, and 620. So these Gorgers did remarkably good work on that front. Saber-Tusk pack did try and get in. None of the Gnoblar Trappers did any good work. Now, as for Tzeentch, the Changer of Ways did get about 1,700. The Exalted Pink Horrors were able to get over 2K. Other Pink Horrors did really, really well. On top of that, Blue Horrors doing some very good work even so. Rest of the units, Forsaken, some good damage value kind of across the board. More Pink Horror getting good value, but these Screamers, very good deterrence to those Gorgers, able to get 1,100, 835, and then the Flyers, all of those Chaos Furies, a couple of them racking up very close to 1,000 points between them, and that is pretty much going to be all she wrote as the Tzeentch, very close match. Ogres just not quite able to pull things out, and Tzeentch makes a resurgent charge back for victory. And that is going to be all I have for you today. I do hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good one.
simply kill for the more, the power and lust of